Hi, this is Brian Venton here with another My Town Media opinion piece called "Are Townsville Councillors in Trouble?" The actions of our councillors over recent weeks have, in my view, raised serious questions that the Office of the Independent Assessor may want to investigate. Any individual or government entity may refer a councillor to the assessor, or the assessor themselves may take their own initiative and investigate a councillor if a media report makes allegations of a conduct breach. And I suggest there may be a number of grounds that would give cause for the assessor to investigate conduct breaches, misconduct, and perhaps even criminal conduct. First, councillors have interfered with the due process of law in respect to an active CCC investigation of the Mayor by openly and publicly calling on the Mayor to resign, and then threatening that if he did not resign, they would move a motion of no confidence asking the Minister to intervene. Making a public statement of this nature to the media is, in my opinion, a breach of sub judice. A sub judice breach occurs if a particular case or matter is under trial or being considered by a judge or court, and to publicly interfere in that process in the manner our councillors did is a breach of law and therefore a serious breach of misconduct for all 10 councillors. No one is allowed to circumvent due process, and by imposing themselves on that process, they have effectively denied the Mayor what is described in the legislative process as natural justice. The second concern has to do with our Queensland State Constitution. Section 19E says the Governor-General may dissolve the Legislative Assembly, that's the state government, if a vote of no confidence is carried or if a bill fails to pass. No confidence motions are the preserve of state legislature in respect to bill formations. Nowhere in Chapter 7 of the Constitution is there a provision for a local council to pass motions of no confidence. And neither is there a provision under the LGA Act of 2009 giving councillors any authority to call on a mayor to resign or move motions of no confidence. Their powers are limited to doing only something that a state can validly do, which means because LGAs do not perform the function of creating bills, there is therefore no legislative basis whereby the councillors may pursue a motion of no confidence, and their actions are most likely invalid. Third, following on from this, the motions moved at the ordinary meeting of the 5th of June were unconstitutional. As I've just described, nowhere in the LGA legislation are councillors afforded a right to pass a motion of no confidence or call on the Mayor to resign. But they've also asked the Minister to effectively engage in sub judice herself by suspending the Mayor ahead of an investigation. And nor do they have the right to deny the Mayor his legislated right to perform his elected responsibilities. Councillors are expected to uphold the law, not rewrite the law. And this, in my view, is a serious misconduct. Councillors, according to Section 12, are to represent the current and future interests of residents of the local government area. And the actions of our councillors at the June 5th meeting have effectively disenfranchised the will of the people. It is the will of the people at elections who ultimately determine who governs, not the will of our councillors to decide whether our Mayor should be removed from office or have any of his duties curtailed. Now, a fourth area of concern has to do with what may be a deliberate, well-planned and well-coordinated strategy to force a resignation and remove a Mayor from office. The Criminal Code in Section 92A refers to misconduct in respect to a public officer whom in part acts with an intent to dishonestly gain a benefit for the officer or another person, or to dishonestly cause a detriment to another person. Now, this is a serious offence with a penalty of up to 7 years imprisonment if found guilty. And I suggest that the speed and the manner with which events unfolded on the 5th indicate that there may have been a coordinated strategy in place to take down the mayor. The deputy mayor stood down, another deputy was installed, and a series of motions were unanimously carried. Everything had the hallmark of an agenda being carefully scripted, planned, and executed. I suggest there are a whole raft of questions that need to be asked concerning the actions of councillors in the lead up to this meeting. The assessor responsible for examining these things has the power to appoint investigators, seek warrants, and consider any breach and investigate who, what, when or where in relation to any of the actions of our councillors, even according to section 150C, whether a conspiracy or attempt to engage in conduct may exist. Now, this is serious stuff, and if it is proved that there was any form of collusion by some or all of our councillors or any intent to do harm, then the councillors could be in big strife, and the business of the June 5th ordinary meeting may have been a gross miscarriage of justice directed against the mayor. Now, it's not my place to preempt any consequence here, but there is a range of options available to the assessor that could form a recommendation to the minister, including but not limited to fines, public apologies, and in a worst case scenario, the sacking of all councillors except the mayor. In the wash-up, we could find that the actions of councillors are of far greater offence and detriment to our city than what the mayor himself is accused of doing. I may not be the only one suggesting a string of violations may have occurred here, but ultimately it will be up to the Office of the Independent Assessor to determine if our councillors are in fact in trouble. Those who know me well know that I am fundamentally pastoral in nature, and it saddens me deeply to raise these issues. Now, these comments are an expression of my honest opinion, and time will tell if I'm right. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found this opinion piece helpful. Watch this space. This is far from over. And remember, the things that appear are not always as they seem. Bye.